This is the VITILAN H5 dual motor e-bike, and the first time I thumbed the throttle, it yanked me forward like I'd hooked a tow rope to a truck. Two hub motors, 1,000 watts each with a 3,000 watt peak, light up both wheels, so instead of the front tire pushing sand or gravel like a plow, it actually pulls itself on top of it while the rear motor keeps driving. From my experience, that's the special sauce. On soft beach approaches and dusty trail climbs I usually avoid, this thing just goes. No drama, just grip. Key features that stand out to me in daily riding are the 52-volt, 25-amp-hour battery, the 24x4 fat tires, hydraulic disc brakes, a front suspension fork, a folding 6061 aluminum frame, and a 7-speed drivetrain. The battery matters because higher voltage helps the bike hold speed longer before you feel it taper off. The fat tires are your rear suspension on this hardtail, and they do a lot of the comfort work if you set pressure right. The brakes match the power well, lever feel is firm, and they've stayed consistent on long descents. The fork is basic, but takes the edge off curb cuts and chatter. The frame is solid. It does fold, but at roughly 80 pounds, I treat folding as a storage trick, not something I do at the train station. I've put a couple 100 miles on mine across city streets, hardpack, and a few sandy service roads. The headline is speed and traction. With both motors and pedal assist set high, the launch is strong enough that I shift my weight slightly forward to keep the front end settled. On pavement, I learned to roll on the throttle with the bars mostly straight. If I get greedy while still turning, the powered front wheel wants to stand the bike up. Nothing scary, just a different feel from a rear-drive e-bike. On dirt, I could pick a line through marbles and keep momentum where my single-motor bike usually spins out. For anyone new to e-bikes, pedal assist, PAS, uses a sensor near the crank to detect when you're pedaling. Then the controller adds power in levels. The H5 uses a cadence sensor, which just knows that the pedals are moving, not how hard you're pushing. That means there's a small delay before power comes in, and it can feel a bit on-off at low speed. I smooth that out by starting with a touch of throttle, then pedaling once I'm rolling. It's natural after a day or two. Gearing is where I made my first tweak. Stock, the bike comes with a 42T chainring. Above about 25 miles per hour, my legs were just spinning without adding much, what riders call ghost pedaling. In my opinion, that's the only obvious mismatch in an otherwise brutal fun package. I swapped to a 52T chainring, and it transformed the feel at 28 to 35 miles per hour. I can actually put in power and stretch range at higher cruising speeds. If you like to pedal rather than ride it like a throttle-only scooter, that change is worth it. About speed, it can hit 40 miles per hour unlocked. That's serious. I treat it with the same respect I'd give a light motorcycle. Full face or at least a solid helmet, gloves, and eye protection. At those speeds, stability is all about setup and technique. The 24-inch wheels give a nice balance between agility and rollover, but they're still on a bicycle frame. I keep the headset properly torqued, make sure the front wheel is true, and keep a steady two-handed grip above 30 miles per hour. With the fat tires around 18 to 20 psi for street and 12 to 15 psi for sand, the steering stays predictable. If you run too low on pavement, the sidewalls can squirm, and that's when the front end can feel vague. Comfort is very fat bike hardtail. The fork takes the sting out of the front, and the tires cushion a lot, but the rear triangle is rigid. On cracked city streets, I was fine for 10 to 15 miles. Then I started to feel it in my lower back. A suspension seat post fixed most of that for me. It's a simple upgrade that makes the bike feel more premium without touching the frame. The stock saddle is wide and comfy enough, but with the seat post upgrade, it becomes genuinely good for longer rides. Range depends completely on how you ride. With both motors working hard, lots of throttle, and cruising in the high 20s to low 30s, I'm seeing about 25 to 30 miles before I want to recharge. If I keep it to PAS 2 to 3, mostly rear motor, cruising around 18 to 22 miles per hour and actually pedaling, I can land in that advertised 40 to 50 mile zone. The 52-volt 25-amp-hour pack is 1,300 watt-hour, which is big for a bike, but two motors can gobble energy. Charging on the stock charger takes me most of a workday or an overnight. Battery management is simple. I don't store it full or empty, and I keep it dry. Speaking of wet, the frame and battery housing have handled light rain fine, but I avoid deep puddles because the controller is mounted under the frame where spray hits first. It helps to clean and dry that area after a sloppy ride. Controls are straightforward if a bit busy. I've got brake levers with motor cutoffs, a thumb throttle, a shifter, and a simple LCD. The display gives speed, battery, PAS level, trip, and odometer. It can wash out in harsh noon sun, but I can usually tilt it for better viewing. The wiring bundle is neat enough, and everything I've needed to reach has standard connectors. Shifting the 7-speed is snappy as long as I ease off power when I click up a gear. Dumping full motor torque through the chain mid-shift isn't kind to any drivetrain. Tires are 24x4, which are great for mixed surfaces. On sand and snow, the footprint is huge and the bike floats. On pavement, they're stable and forgiving, though you pay a small efficiency penalty compared to a narrower tire. I check pressure often. A few PSI swing makes a big difference in ride feel. The extra mass of hub motors inside the wheels means they hit bumps harder than a normal wheel would. So I keep pressures on the safe side to protect rims and avoid pinch flats. Build quality has been solid. My rack mounts lined up. The folding latch is tight with a reassuring click, and the welds look clean. I did have a minor fender rub against the front tire when the fork compressed. Loosening and recentering the fender fixed it. If I were riding in constant rain, I might remove the front fender and add a better splash guard for the controller area. Brakes have stayed true, and the levers haven't gotten spongy. It's perfect for riders who want real off-pavement traction, heavy-duty hill climbing, or a fast, stable street ripper that doesn't blink at a gravel detour. The 330-pound max load is legit for bigger riders or anyone hauling gear. From my experience, it's happiest when you let it do the thing it was built to do, move quickly and confidently over surfaces that make normal bikes tiptoe. If you need to carry it upstairs often or lift it onto a flimsy trunk rack, you'll get annoyed. It's a big, powerful bike that rides light but doesn't left light. I'd recommend this for beach towns, snowy commutes where plows leave packed edges, hilly neighborhoods, and riders who want throttle authority with the option to pedal. If your priority is a featherweight fitness bike or a subway-friendly folder, this is not that. If you want grin per mile, it's right here. In my opinion, the H5 nails the value around power, traction, and battery size. The few rough edges are predictable for this category. Gearing that benefits from a bigger chain ring, a stiff rear end that deserves a suspension seat post, and a controller placement that asks you to be mindful in wet conditions. None of those undercut the core experience, which is addictive torque and go-anywhere versatility on 24-inch fat rubber. In conclusion, the VITILAN H5 dual-motor e-bike feels like a compact electric bulldozer that learned some street manners. It's not subtle, and that's the charm. Set your tire pressures right, respect the speed, tweak the gearing if you care about pedaling fast, and you'll have a bike that turns routes you avoid into routes you look forward to. If you found this video helpful, hit subscribe and drop your questions or your own H5 tips in the comments. Thank you for watching.